The Pittsburgh Steelers have reemerged as a Brandon Aiyuk trade destination, and according to reports, a deal is in the works between San Francisco and Pittsburgh. We're going to talk about that on today's 49ers Report, and this is today's poll question. Let's hear from you down in the comment section. Every day, seemingly, there's a new update. Is Aiyuk going to get dealt? Could he return to San Francisco? Only time will tell, and I want you to tell me, are you worried about the vibes to start training camp hovering around the 49ers right now? Type Y for yes, N for no. Let me know down in the comment section. And with that, let's start today's Niners Report. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into the show. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and let's get to the latest on Brandon Aiyuk as day in and day out, we continue to have new updates. Sources tell me that the Pittsburgh Steelers, by the way, are willing to go to $30 to $31 million per year on a Brandon Aiyuk contract extension. That on top of all of the reports that Pittsburgh is really going hard after Aiyuk. And yesterday, you had Christian McCaffrey alluding to Aiyuk as a former teammate. As for the latest today, New England Patriots have decided to end their pursuit of Brandon Aiyuk. That was reported yesterday by ESPN's Adam Schefter. The translation for me, Aiyuk just didn't want to go to New England. They were willing to pay him a lot of money, but an unsure quarterback situation in a tough division, just not a situation that Aiyuk is fond of. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers seem to drop out of the Aiyuk situation and out of the mix, but now the Pittsburgh Steelers are back in. Talk about that tweet from Adam Schefter about the New England Patriots. After inquiring about Brandon Aiyuk's availability, the Patriots have decided not to explore any further trade possibilities with the 49ers regarding their standout wide receiver. The Patriots excited about their young receivers and want to focus on them. And just when you thought the Pittsburgh Steelers were out, they're reeled back in. Steelers and 49ers re-engaged in conversations midday today, that tweet from Tuesday, regarding Brandon Aiyuk per league sources. And as of Monday night, the 49ers-Steelers talks had stalled. But there have been further conversations today in an ever-fluid situation, which still involves other teams as well. And despite reports out there that the Commanders were no longer going after Brandon Aiyuk, Washington is still a team to monitor in addition to the aforementioned Cleveland Browns, which we've discussed here on the show. And these developments matter because Aiyuk this offseason has specifically mentioned Washington and Pittsburgh as teams he'd like to go to if he did not return to the Niners, which is his preference number one. But right now, the 49ers are holding firm on their offer. They have not given Aiyuk a new contract offer for several months, and Aiyuk is able to field offers elsewhere, able to negotiate with other teams, and those other teams are willing to pay for his services at the price tag that he is seeking. This tweet came out the other day from Cam Marino, and he still has this pinned on his X account. So he's very confident as an NFL insider that Aiyuk is going to get dealt to Pittsburgh. He said the Steelers and the 49ers have agreed to a trade that sends star receiver Brandon Aiyuk to Pittsburgh. And of course, we have to welcome in the People's Insider, Pretty Ricky, who throughout this offseason has been right about a lot. And we're going to go through a series of tweets and reports that he put on his X account after he seemingly retired, but now he's coming back because he has predicted for a long time that Aiyuk is going to go to Pittsburgh, and there's momentum behind that train. Schefter, Rap Sheet, and the rest of the insiders all said that the Steelers weren't involved just a few hours ago. Now suddenly, they've all backtracked, and the Niners and Steelers are in trade talks. Now, why is that? Hashtag Trust Ricky, and of course, this is the Brian Windhorst in the deal zone meme, which has gone famous on social media, and then Pretty Ricky putting his infamous X profile picture on top of Wendy's head. And then another tweet from Pretty Ricky. We won, Hashtag here we go. Now, here we go is the hashtag for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the corresponding photo with that. It's Pretty Ricky as the President of the United States. Mission accomplished in the background with Brandon Aiyuk next to the podium there, and Pretty Ricky as the President putting his thumbs up. This might get people concerned as well. Pretty Ricky adding to all of that reporting by saying the Niners will not be getting a first-round pick back in this trade. The Steelers offered a first-round pick back in May, but that is no longer going to be the case. I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of reactions to everything that's going down on the Aiyuk front. I said time and time again that if the 49ers do trade Aiyuk, doing it before the draft was the time to do it. I understand San Francisco still drafted a wide receiver, Ricky Pearsall, in the first round, but if you traded Aiyuk before the draft, you get that compensation then, which allows you to build your football team. You can plan for the upcoming 2024 season, and you can use those draft picks to get some legitimate players who help you. Now, for instance, if you trade for draft compensation, it doesn't move the needle for your football team right now when you're in this Super Bowl window. So trading Aiyuk then would have allowed you to maximize his value. But this late in the game, a couple of weeks into training camp, that value is naturally lower. And if you get 75 cents on the dollar for an all-pro wide receiver in this era in which offensive football is taking off and there's been such a value placed on the wide receiver position, that would be a disaster for the San Francisco 49ers. You're trading away an emerging player who has a harmonious relationship with Brock Purdy, who's been a pivotal playmaker for your offense, which was the #1 overall unit in the National Football League. He's shown that he can get better and better and better every year that he's in the NFL, and I still think he's scratching the surface as a elite wide receiver in this league, and you're going to trade him away, making your offense worse in a Super Bowl year for 75 cents on the dollar. Egg on the face of the Niners if that happens. Now be sure to hit that subscribe button here on the Niners Report. We've picked up a bunch of subscribers since the turn of the calendar month, and now that we're a week in, how many more subscribers can we pick up? As you can see, this is the largest independently run Niners channel right here on YouTube. Let's get to 135,000 subscribers as soon as possible. If you want elite Niners coverage, this is your go-to spot. And of course, if an Aiyuk trade does happen, we'll keep you in the know. A lot more to get to here on today's show, but first, I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor, Game Time. If you're looking for last-minute deals on tickets, with Game Time, you can save up to 60% off in buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater, and more. I love their flash deals because you can save even more with their exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. So really, to summarize everything, prices drop as the event gets closer. They have last-minute tickets and flash deals. You see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And Game Time, among all the ticketing apps out there, not going to hit you with outrageous fees if you go in on the all-in pricing option, but they're going to have the lowest price among all ticketing apps. 49ers Titans. We're doing a watch party for that game on Saturday night. If you want to go to the game in Nashville, still tickets available, and there are deals available. Saints at Niners, preseason game number 2. You want to go to Levi Stadium, tickets as low as in the 200 section, row 21 for $109, so you can save today with the Game Time app. Use the code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off. If you want to go to a San Francisco Giants game, you can do that as well at one of the best ballparks in Major League Baseball. So take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets or NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, get $20 off. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed, and of course, terms apply. First purchase only. A big question amidst this conversation, when we're talking about Aiyuk being sent to Pittsburgh, what could the Niners get back in an Aiyuk trade? There are 3 players who have really come to the forefront here. If you want a wide receiver back, you could get the shifty and quick Calvin Austin. you lose a wide receiver, and you gain one. If you want to bulk up the offensive line, you can do that with a guard in James Daniels, although I'm not sure that makes sense for San Francisco because Dominic Puni has been balling. He is not letting go of the first string right guard role, and you don't really need another guard in the mix. In fact, some of the offensive line depth that the Niners have on the interior is pretty good. But if you want to upgrade at right tackle and you want to trade for a player in Dan Moore Jr., or if the Trent Williams situation gets to a point in which he gets dealt, which would be a disaster, could you bring in another offensive tackle in Dan Moore, where either Dan Moore takes over for Colton McKivitz, he's your holdover plan at left tackle, or your Trent Williams replacement? That, of course, again, would be a disaster for San Francisco because Trent Williams, arguably, still the best left tackle in the game. So you're looking at those three types of players. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to be willing to trade away George Pickens for Brandon Aiyuk. And for the Niners, why would you trade Aiyuk away when you don't want to pay him, and then you'd have to pay George Pickens? The whole point of Pittsburgh trading for Aiyuk is to pair Aiyuk with George Pickens, giving the Steelers a very good 1-2 wide receiver punch. As far as draft picks of note, I don't know if the 49ers at this point can get a first-round pick back for Aiyuk. In the lead up to the draft, maybe that could have been the situation. Now, not sure that's the case. Steelers also have their second-round pick. That would be the pick that maybe the Niners have to settle for, their own third-round pick, and then a fourth-round pick. So how would you feel, ladies and gentlemen, if the 49ers traded away Brandon Aiyuk, they couldn't come to terms on a contract extension, the Niners in return for a second-team All-Pro in 2023 got back a second-round pick, in addition to a mid-round pick, maybe a player, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers gave Aiyuk, let's call it a 4-year, $125 million deal, which comes out to an AAV of 31 and a quarter, because sources tell me Pittsburgh is willing to go to 30 to 31 plus million dollars per year on an Aiyuk trade. That's kind of a deal that I think is realistic at this point in the Aiyuk sweepstakes, and he wants to go to Pittsburgh, regardless of what happens with this situation. Trading Aiyuk away would be stupid. Trading Aiyuk away would be dumb. You envision him becoming an all-pro player at some point when you took him 25th overall at Arizona State back in 2020. He's progressed, made improvements, and has gotten better in each of his 4 years in the NFL. And last year, he became the all-pro that you were hoping he could become. He became a deep threat for Brock Purdy. He has excellent footwork. He's one of the best route runners in the NFL. He's one of the best run-blocking wide receivers in the National Football League. Last year, the offense took a leap because of the vertical dimension that he added to this offense and because of Brock Purdy's deep ball being elite. Brandon Aiyuk gives your young franchise quarterback in Brock Purdy a legitimate number one wide receiver who's a top 10 player at his position in the NFL. The last 4 off seasons, you have paid and kept your homegrown players. From George Kittle to Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa. Now, with the most cap space in the NFL, with the salary cap continuing to go up, and with offense being of the utmost importance in today's NFL, you're not going to retain a very special player who epitomizes what this organization is about: player development, playing the right way, being respected and adored by his teammates and coaches, and on the field, being a straight-up dog. And you're going to hope and pray that a rookie can help fill the void of his production if you do deal him away? Kyle Shanahan could put him in a great position to put up massive production. Clearly, him and Brock Purdy have a relationship that has been clicking the last year and a half, because Aiyuk's rise has coincided with Brock Purdy being this team's starting quarterback. And now you're going to get cheap when you're in this Super Bowl window. Don't let special walk out of the door. Why would you trade an elite player during this Super Bowl time frame when you're trying to get that 6th Lombardi trophy with the roster whose window is starting to close because this team is getting more expensive and a little bit older, and Aiyuk is 26 years old? and rant. It doesn't make any sense. And if the Niners do this, it's going to be the DeForest Buckner trade once again, which came back to bite the Niners in the ass. Before we hop on out of here, make sure you give me a follow. I'm on X at Chase_Senior. I'm on Instagram at Chase_Senior. Both platforms popping right now. A lot of short form content over there, in addition to all of my thoughts on the Niners. Look forward to hearing from you, and thanks for watching today's show.